I mean, every day it seems as though something big happens that causes problems in this fine country. Today is no different, as we have some shocking Angela Rayner news as confirmation has been made, which could see us in trouble. Of course, in today's video we will discuss this, whilst also going over all of the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. In some shocking news, Angela Rayner has been given a permanent seat on the UK government's National Security Council as the rebooted Downing Street operation seeks to smooth over reports of tensions between Keir Starmer and his deputy. Allies of the Deputy Prime Minister had shared concerns she was being sidelined when it emerged 2 weeks ago that she had been given only a temporary place on the committee that brings together ministers with military and intelligence chiefs. However, The Guardian reports she has now been made a permanent member of the NSC, which discusses and assesses the biggest threats facing Britain, as part of a concerted effort driven by the new No. 10 Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, to bolster her position. Starmer has also strengthened the quad of his most senior ministers to become a proper steering group for the government's agenda, insiders said. As well as Rayner, it includes Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, and Pat McFadden, the senior Cabinet Office Minister. In another move to shore up the Deputy Prime Minister, she will more formally and routinely deputise for Starmer, for example, by standing in at Prime Minister's questions this week, while he is away in Samoa at a Commonwealth Heads of Government summit. Downing Street hopes the changes will reassure the Deputy Prime Minister and her allies in the Labour Party and across the union movement that she has Starmer's full support, after reports of continuing tensions between the pair. A No. 10 source said, "Keir respects Angela and wants to make sure that is recognised more widely in government." "This how Britons have reacted to this news," Nicholas said. "I feel genuinely unsafe knowing Angela Rayner is now calling the shots on security." Wolf said, "A seat on the NSC is not a position you hand out to smooth relationships. Highly irresponsible of Starmer. If he didn't think she warranted a permanent seat back in July, why does she warrant one now?" JM said, "I'm sorry. What makes her qualified for this position? Just one bad joke after another with Labour at the helm." Papa said, "Labour doesn't know what security means." "I see a national disaster impending." Clive said, "This government is a disaster. Rayner is not fit to sit on a parish council and should be kept away from anything related to national security. With incompetents like Lammy and Rayner in positions of power, it's only a matter of time until they create a serious problem." What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. In other news, hundreds of thousands of students and teachers across the UK will die from exposure to asbestos, a bombshell report has claimed. The electrical and thermal insulator, which can be found in many British schools, could bring with it a tsunami of deaths from cancer, as many buildings begin to deteriorate. The Joint Union Asbestos Committee, JUAC, has warned that over 21,000 schools in the UK could be at risk, thanks to the toxic building material, which has been dubbed a silent killer. Liz Darlison, Chief Executive of Mesothelioma UK, said that is like a bomb that is slowly exploding. Since 1980, at least 1,400 teachers and support staff and 12,600 pupils have died from mesothelioma, the aggressive cancer that inhalation of asbestos fibres causes. This number is only forecast to get bigger and bigger in the next 20 to 60 years, as crumbling school buildings place more people in the firing line for danger. JUAC had produced a report following an investigation involving 8 education unions. It states, "Hundreds of thousands of students and staff exposed to asbestos in their schools since the mid-1990s are predicted to die from mesothelioma." It adds, "Crucially, the evidence in this report suggests that is likely to be a tsunami in the UK. Their deaths would be the consequence of ineffective asbestos regulations and a cost-cutting culture that wrongly implies asbestos is safe so long as it is not disturbed." The current policy, which has been the same for multiple successive governments, sees the material left in place until it is visibly damaged. Lawyer Harminder Baines, who has been representing asbestos victims for 30 years, has now been instructed by the National Education Union to bring a legal case against the government. Baines, whose father passed away from mesothelioma, said that schools are not fit for purpose. You don't have to see visible dust for it to be dangerous, and inhaling any amount is potentially deadly, she said. Schools are not fit for purpose. As one teacher said to me, we wouldn't send our children into burning buildings, so why are we sending them into buildings riddled with asbestos? Darlison said the issue is a national disgrace, adding, the ongoing presence of asbestos in our deteriorating school buildings is like a bomb that is slowly exploding. It's an unbelievable tragedy and a national disgrace that we are not doing more to protect people, especially children. DUAC's report, called What is the Real Risk from Asbestos in Schools, used official government data to determine the possible fatality rate. Lib Dem MP Munira Wilson, who has previously pressured the government to reveal the scale of the asbestos issue, said, "This study is shocking and goes to emphasize the devastating impact of years of neglect on our schools. Every parent should know that when they send their child to school, they will be taught in a safe environment." A spokesman for the Health and Safety Executive said it did not recognize the figures used in the report. It added, "Our inspection campaign showed that the majority of schools are managing asbestos safely. We are continuing to carry out inspections on asbestos compliance in schools and elsewhere." A Department for Education spokesman said, "We take the safety of children and those who work with them incredibly seriously." It said that it expected all authorities to have robust plans to manage the toxic material. Lastly, an Australian lawmaker interrupted at the end of King Charles's speech in Australia's Parliament on Monday, in a dramatic twist to His Majesty's tour down under. King Charles and Queen Camilla were visiting Australia's Parliament House in Canberra for a ceremonial welcome and parliamentary reception, an event already snubbed by the country's 6 state premiers. His Majesty's speech acknowledged Indigenous communities during a speech in the Great Hall, where he said, "Let me also say how deeply I appreciated this morning's moving Welcome to Country ceremony, which offers me the opportunity to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and all First Nations peoples who have loved and cared for this continent for 65,000 years. But Victoria Senator Lydia Thorpe interrupted at the end of the King's speech. She screamed at His Majesty, who watched her without much expression, angrily chanting, "You are not our king, this is not your land." Senator Thorpe, who is well known for similar past outbursts, was pushed out of the chamber by security guards. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.